you. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday live session. Today, we're talking about something that's going to be critical to you, critical to your business. I know we a little bit late coming in the group, but well worth the wait. So today I'm going to ask you something that might sting you a little bit. Matter of fact, I know it's going to sting, but I'm going to ask anyway. Sting is good. It wakes you up. Now, let's say you're sitting on a private jet right now. You own it. It's paid for. Fuel is in the tank. The runway is clear. And you're just using it as a taxi. Short trips, just going around the block. Never even leaving the ground. But you know what? That's what's happening right now with most of you who are watching. You have 5 years of experience, 10, some maybe even 20. You've seen things that most people never will. You've held families together in their worst moments. You've trained caregivers who showed up when no one else would. You know things about aging, about dementia, about keeping someone safe at home. Things that could actually fill a textbook. But guess what? Nobody knows that. Nobody knows about you. You walk into a room and you introduce yourself as the owner of a home care agency, and everybody nods politely, and then they move on to the next conversation. Meanwhile, the person across the room who has half of your experience, but shows up on Facebook every week, speaks at senior centers every month, has their name on a local article, that person gets the referral. That person gets the phone call. That person gets the family. But guess what? It's not because they're better than you. It's because they're visible and you're not. If you feel that right now, if there's a little frustration, a little heat in your chest, you know what I say? Good. That means you know it's true. You see, you're not failing. You're not behind. You're not even unqualified. You're a private jet on a city bus route. And guess what? Today we're going to fix that. I want to welcome you to this Saturday Live. I'm Mr. Smith. I'm Sean Smith, AKA Professor Home Care. And today I'm giving you what I call an expert in residence blueprint. We're talking about 3 identity shifts that will move you from being your market's best kept secret to being the one and only call that they make. Now, I want you to stay with me. This is the capstone of the entire week we had this week in our 7-figure home care blueprint community. And if you're not in it, you need to get in it. If you haven't heard about it, you need to find out about it because we're giving it up every day. We giving up facts. We don't do no gatekeeping. We are here. Now, let's talk about what we went through this week. And we got into some things this week. And when you get into the group, you'll see some of those sessions that are posted there, some more that I will post over the course of the weekend. So before we go into today's framework, I need to honor what this week built. And we built something powerful if you only put it to use. Because this wasn't a random week. No, I didn't design it that way. We had came out of Ramadan, we went slow. And then I jumped in with both feet. I picked up the pace. I started pressing you. So I gave you something that was powerful if you only partook in it, if you only know. This week was an authority building playbook. You don't get this everywhere. 5 nights, 5 episodes, every one of them designed to answer one question. How do you become the person that everyone calls first? How do you do it? You've been struggling for it. You say you want it. I want you to drop in the comments right now in one word, which night hit you the hardest this week. And if you didn't watch him this week, I want you to go back and watch him. Then you come back to this video and then you put it in the comments which one. Because we're not playing here. This is real stuff. This is powerful stuff. This stuff will take you to the next level faster than you can ever imagine you would get there. So Monday, we talked about why authority even matters. You know what I told you on Monday? I told you the hard truth. I told you about two doctors that had the same degree, same skill. One is visible, one is invisible. 5 years later, only one of them has a waiting list. We looked at the Milgram experiment, how people follow whoever looks like the authority. We also talked about the halo effect, how one positive impression covers everything else. Monday's verdict, it was the world doesn't reward the best. No. The world, evidence is on display that the world doesn't reward the best. The world doesn't even reward the smartest. All we got to do is look in the presidency, look in the White House, and you tell me that the world rewards the smartest and that the world rewards the best. And I will show you the example of what we have in the White House right now, and it will prove it to you in a second of time. I don't care. I'm not getting into endorsing or not endorsing who's in the White House right now. But one thing that anybody who is honest and objective will know and say that we don't have the smartest president in the White House right now that we ever had. Nor do we have the best. So the world, it's not the reward that goes to the best person. It rewards the person or the best of those who are seen. So staying hidden is not humility. Staying hidden is actually negligence. Tuesday, we talked about finding your niche. Tuesday, we talked about the hospital analogy. You walk in, you got a chest pain. They say, great news. We have a doctor who does everything. Are you relieved or are you terrified? The paradox of choice. 24 jam flavors, 3% bought, 6 flavors, 30% bought. Fewer choices, 10 times more trust. Tuesday's verdict, finding your niche. It isn't about limiting yourself. That's what a lot of people believe, but that's not what it's about. It's about liberating yourself. Choose a lane and plant a flag. Master that lane. Wednesday, content that builds credibility. Now, Wednesday, we met two chefs. One was brilliant but silent. The other was good and generous. 5 years later, the generous one had a cookbook, a TV show, and 3 restaurants. The mere exposure effect. The more people who see you, the more they trust you. Reciprocity. Free value creates loyalty. Wednesday's verdict, hoarding knowledge. It doesn't protect your business, not at all. What it does is it protects your anonymity. Now on Thursday, testimonials and social proof. Thursday, I gave you the surgeon analogy. 2 surgeons, same skill. One has a wall of thank you letters. The other says, trust me, I'm good. You're picking the one that has receipts, social proof. People follow the crowd. Stories break down resistance. Now, Thursday's verdict, Your testimonials aren't marketing. They're proof that what you do actually matters. If you never capture the story, it disappears. And then we got to Friday. Friday, strategic visibility. Friday, I gave you the lighthouse. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships. Of course it doesn't. It stands in the right place and shines its light consistently. A lighthouse that moves is useless. A lighthouse that stays is a lifeline. The availability heuristic. People call whoever comes to mind first. Now, Dunbar's number. You only need 150 real relationships, maybe just 20 of the right ones. Now, Friday's verdict, you don't need to be everywhere. Stop trying to be everywhere. You just need to be unavoidable. That means being in the right places when you need to be there. 5 nights, 5 verdicts, 10 psychological concepts, 15 pillars, 15 prompts, one thread connecting all of them. Authority isn't a talent, it's a system. And systems can be built. Now, today I need to go one level deeper because the system only works if you fix the thing that's underneath it. Today, I'm going to give you 3 new concepts. None of them were covered this week. These explain why smart, qualified people stay invisible. This week, we covered 10 research concepts: Milgram, halo effect, paradox of choice, mere exposure, reciprocity, social proof, narrative transportation, cognitive fluency, availability heuristic, Dunbar's number. All of them explain how other people see you. Today, I need to show you something that's different. Why you can't see yourself clearly. Now, that's the real problem. It was never about the strategies. It's about the story you're telling yourself about who you are. Now, concept number 1, self-perception theory. In 1972, a psychologist named Daryl Bem at Cornell University discovered something that changes how we think about identity. People figured out who they are by watching what they do. Hold on. I'm giving you something here. You can figure out who you are by watching what you do. You don't act a certain way because of who you believe you are. You believe you are a certain person because of how you've been acting. I'm going to say that one more time. I'm going to say that again. From the bottom of my heart, from everything inside of me, I really hope that you get this. Because this is a concept that can transform your life, your relationships, in business, in your family, in every walk of life. It will transform your entire existence. Please, if you don't understand or hear anything else I say today, I want you to really grab a hold of this, embrace it, and put it to use immediately. And what I said is, you don't act a certain way because of who you believe you are. You believe you are a certain person because of how you have been acting. It's like a kid who never raises their hand in class. After a while, they don't just avoid raising it. They actually believe I'm not the kind of person who speaks up. If you've been hiding your expertise, not posting, not speaking, not showing up, you haven't just been staying invisible. You've been teaching yourself that you're not an expert. And many of you have knowledge that needs to be taught. Your brain watched your behavior and you wrote the story to match it. Concept number 2, the Pygmalion effect. Now, in 1968, Robert Rosenthal and Lenore Jacobson ran a study in a San Francisco elementary school. They told the teachers that certain students were intellectual bloomers. Kids who were about to have a growth spurt in intelligence. The truth, those kids were chosen at random. There was nothing special about them. But by the end of the year, the bloomers actually scored higher. They scored higher on IQ tests. Why? Because the teachers treated them like they were special. And the kids rose to meet it. Here's why that matters for you. When your community sees you as the expert, when referral partners treat you as the go-to authority, you rise to meet that expectation. But when nobody sees you at all, there's no expectation to rise to. So you stay where you are. Visibility creates expectation. Expectation creates performance. Performance creates authority. It's simple. Now, concept number 3, cognitive dissonance. In 1957, Leon Festinger described something most of us feel every day but never name. Cognitive dissonance is the tension. It's the tension between two beliefs that don't match. Now, here's what it sounds like. In a home care, here's what it sounds like in a home care owner's head. I know I'm good at this, but I don't show up like I'm good at this. That gap between what you know inside and what you do outside, that gap is where frustration lives. Right in that space. That gap is where imposter syndrome hides. That gap is why you feel stuck. And your brain will resolve that tension one of two ways. Option 1, change your behavior. You step up, you show up, you become visible. Option 2, change your belief. You tell yourself, maybe I'm not really that good. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should just keep my head down. Most of you have been choosing option 2. Not because you wanted to, because it was easier. Today we choose option 1. I'm excited. Because this is the turn. Everything before this is all gone. All week long, I gave you tools. Monday, educate, borrow, prove. Tuesday, mirror test, specificity ladder. Only one statement. Wednesday, teach, show your process, share your perspective. Thursday, story, testimonials, data case studies, micro proofs. Friday, Power 20, platforms, rhythm, guest strategy. 15 pillars, 15 prompts, a complete authority building playbook. But here's what I need to tell you today. None of it works if you don't fix the thing underneath. And the thing underneath is not a skill gap. It's not a knowledge gap. It's not a marketing gap. It's an identity gap. And let me explain to you what I mean. Right now, if I ask most of you, what do? You'd say something like, I don't know, I own a home care agency. I'm guilty of that one. I run a non-medical home care business. I help seniors. I've said that one. And these are fine answers, safe answers, invisible answers. Now, let's transform that. Imagine this instead. Someone asks you what you do, and you say, I'm a dementia care specialist who built the highest rated private home care practice in the county. Families come to me when they're told there's nothing left to do. And guess what? I show them that there is. Same person, same business, same experience, completely different energy. Watch how the room treats you. The difference, the first person sees themselves as a business owner who happens to know a lot. The second person sees themselves as an expert who happens to own a business. Small change in words, massive, massive change in identity. And identity drives everything. Don't kid yourself. Don't fool yourself. It drives everything. It drives what you post. It drives what you charge. It drives how you walk into a room. It drives whether you ask for the testimonial or you stay quiet. It drives whether you pitch the podcast or tell yourself you're not ready. You will never outperform the story you tell yourself. You have to watch the story you tell yourself about who you are. That's what I mean by an expert in residence. An expert visits a market. They show up sometimes. They dabble. They're known a little. An expert in residence lives there, owns the space. They're woven into the fabric of the community. Their name comes up in rooms they're not in. Families find them before they start looking. Referral partners just don't know them. They depend on them. That's the shift. Not a new marketing trick. No. A new identity. I'm going to give you 3 exercises to make that shift real right now, today. First, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. All right, there's 3 frameworks. Each one has a name and an exercise and an uncomfortable truth. The exercise happens today, right now. Exercise number 1 is identity shift. Let's call it the mirror flip. Now, most of you have a mirror problem, not a marketing problem, a mirror problem. Now, let me show you what I mean. When you look at the mirror in the morning, who do you see? Most of us see a business owner, a hard worker, somebody who's doing their best. And that's accurate, but it's not complete. Because what the world needs to see is not a business owner doing their best. What the world needs to see is an authority. An authority who has earned the right to lead. I want you to think about a doctor. Think about it. They don't walk into a room and say, "Hi, I'm just the person who owns this practice." They walk in and they as the doctor. Their identity is their authority. You need to walk into every room, every live session, every referral meeting as the expert. Not as someone who's hoping to be noticed, but as the expert. And when I talk about these things, I don't just talk to you, I'm talking to me too. I fall into these traps sometimes. I'm not special. I've come to learn and rise above some of these things. But sometimes, these thoughts creep in after so many years of thinking a certain way. But you can do it because I've done it. And I do it every day. So here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to grab your phone, open your notes, and write down exactly how you introduce yourself at networking events. The exact words you use. I want you to do it right now. I'm going to wait. Now, I want you to flip it. Instead of leading with your business, lead with your expertise. Instead of I own a home care agency, say I'm whatever your specialty is, who helps families, whatever your specific outcome is, through your unique approach. Write the flip version now. Right underneath the first one, I want you to write the flip version. Do you feel the difference? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You've been hiding behind your business card instead of standing in front of your expertise. And every time you introduce yourself as just the owner, you told your brain and the room the exact same thing. I'm not the authority here. Now, BEM's self-perception theory says your behavior wrote that story, but you can rewrite it. Starting with the next room that you walk into. I want you to say this affirmation with me. This is something we began new this week, and I want to continue this practice because when you speak it out loud, you speak it into existence. The words sometimes go from your tongue and resonate right into your heart. I want you to speak this with me. Let's make this our way. I want you to say it word for word. This week, I'm writing how I introduce myself. I'm leading with my expertise, not my title. I'm putting it in my bio. I'm saying it out loud until it feels natural. Because if I don't tell the world I'm an expert, no one else will. You see how that feels? Do you understand? I feel the energy on this call right now that there are people who this is transforming at the moment. That their whole energy shifted. There's a whole mental shift. They're viewing themselves in a different way, and they will begin to be a certain way from the moment they walk away from this session ends. Now, identity shift number 2 is the gravity audit. And I want to teach you the difference between chasing and pulling. I want you to think about the moon. The moon doesn't chase the ocean. It doesn't run along the coastline trying to push the waves. It just has gravity. And the ocean responds. Now look at your business. How much of your time last month was spent chasing? Was it cold calls to referral sources who didn't return your call? Drop-ins at hospital where they barely remembered your name? What about the follow-up emails that went into the void? And how much of your time was spent pulling? Creating a teaching video that positioned you as the expert? Sending a resource guide to a referral partner that made their job easier? What about speaking at a community event where 30 families heard your name for the first time? Chasing is pushing, pulling is gravity. An expert in residence doesn't chase. They don't have to. They create gravity. Now here's the exercise. I want you to think about the last 30 days. In the comment, type a number. What percentage of your time was spent chasing versus creating gravity? And I want you to be honest. I won't judge you. I'll go first. When I started mine was 90% chasing, 10% gravity. Today, it's flipped. And I want you to know wherever you are, it's not a failure. It's just the starting point. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Chasing signals desperation. Gravity signals authority. And people don't hand their mother to someone who seems desperate. I know that stings. I know that hurts. But I'd rather you hear it from me in this room than figure it out after another year of unanswered cold calls. The Pygmalion effect tells us that when people expect you to be the expert, you actually perform at a higher level. Gravity creates expectation. Chasing destroys it. Come on, let's get now. We got another affirmation that we're going to do together right now. And I want you to say it with me. We're going to say it together because we're going to speak it into existence. We're going to speak the truth out loud so we hear it and it resonates in our conscious minds. You ready? Let's go. This week, I'm doing a gravity audit. I'm looking at my calendar from the last 30 days and labeling every business development activity as either chasing or gravity. Then I'm moving one chasing hour per week into a gravity activity. A teaching video, a resource for a referral partner, a community appearance, 1 hour every week until the ratio flips. See how that works? All right, let's go to identity shift number 3. Let's call it the residence test. This one, this is the one that tells you exactly where you stand. Think about the difference between a tourist and a resident. A tourist visits a city. They show up for a few days. They take some pictures. They leave. And guess what? Nobody even notices that they're gone. A resident They're part of the block. They know the neighbors. The neighbors know them. And when they're not around for a few days, somebody checks on them. An expert visits a market. An expert in residence is part of the neighborhood. Now, here's the test. And I need you to be brutally honest. If you disappeared from your market for 90 days, no posts, no calls, no events, no sessions, how many referral partners would notice? How many would reach out to check on you? How many would say, where did you go? We need you. Type that number in the comments right now for me. Type it right now. And I want you to know whatever number you typed in there, if it's 0, it's not failure. It's information. Because now you know where to build. From this video, you know things that you didn't know before. You have information, you're being armed with information and you know how to use it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If the answer is less than 5, you haven't moved in yet. You're visiting your market and your neighbors don't get, and visitors don't get referrals, residents do. That's not an insult, it's a compass. Festinger's cognitive dissonance told us that there's a gap between what you know and what you do. The residence test measures that gap. And now you have a target. Your job over the next 90 days is to make that number go up. Not by chasing more people, by going deeper with the right ones. Remember, it's Friday's Power 20. That's your neighborhood. Those 20 people are the block. You're moving into it. Show up consistently. Be useful regularly. Deposit value before you ever make a withdrawal. And guess what? In 90 days, take the residence test again. The number will tell you everything. You don't have to take my word for it. Put it to the test. All right, let's give that one more affirmation. Let's go. Let's say it out loud. Let's do it. I'm excited about this. And this is this, word for word with me. Come on. This week, I'm taking the residence test. I'm writing down the names of every referral partner who would notice if I disappeared for 90 days. Then I'm picking 3 from my Power 20 who are not on that list. And I'm making 1 genuine value first deposit with each one of them this week. No ask, just showing up like a neighbor, because residents get referrals, tourists get forgotten. You see? That was powerful. We covered a lot. I want you to put the information that I gave you to work. Now, this is the part I go to for Q&A. And I had some people who reached out to me this week with questions that I want to answer. And if you want to ask questions, you have to join in through the Zoom link in order to be able to answer questions. Every week we post the Zoom link live for everybody to be able to log in and use the link. I'm actually going to make sure that we send this link out on all platforms coming next week, so everyone who wants to join in and ask questions and be a part of this can actually be a part and interact with this information. So I had question number 1 that I got this week was, I hear everything you're saying, but honestly, I only have 2 years of experience. Who am I to call myself an expert? Isn't that dishonest? That's a great question. And a question that I'm sure many of you have, or a comment that's something that's going around or playing around in your head. I want you to really, I want to dig into that though, because I'm glad they asked that question. And there's a lot of people in this room who are feeling that exact same thing, but they won't say it out loud. But here's what I want you to hear from me. You don't need to know everything. You need to know more than the person that you're trying to help. Simple. A family looking for home care tonight doesn't need a 20-year veteran. They need someone who understands what they're going through, who understands it better than they do. Think about it like a hiking trail. You don't need to be at the summit to guide someone who's at the trailhead. You just need to be a few steps ahead. Expertise isn't about having all the answers. It's about being further down the path. And only further down the path than the person who needs your help. 2 years of experience is 2 years more than that family has. Don't let imposter syndrome rob them of your knowledge. What's the second question here? The second question was, my market already has a dominant agency. Every discharge planner already has their go-to. How do I break in when someone else is already the expert in residence? That's a great question. That is a great question. And one that great question. I hear it a lot. But here's what you're actually asking me. How do I win the same game someone else has already won? Simple, you don't. You change the game. Now, remember Tuesday, the specificity ladder. If they're the go-to for general home care, you become the go-to for dementia care or post-surgical recovery or veterans or overnight care. Think about restaurants. There's a popular Italian place in town. Does that mean that nobody else can open a restaurant? Of course not. You just don't open another Italian place across the street. You don't compete for the same seat. You build a different table. And here's the secret. Most dominant agencies are dominant because nobody else showed up. Not because they're unbeatable. God knows anybody can be beat. Now, question number three. I barely have time to run my agency. I'm filling shifts, doing intakes, managing caregivers. When am I supposed to create content and go to events? You know what? This is the most common objection in the room. But I hear you. And I'm not going to pretend that that's not real. You're doing everything right now. I know what that feels like. I've been there. But I need to give you a truth that took me too long to learn. The reason you're doing everything is because you haven't built the authority that does it for you. When you're invisible, you have to chase every client. You have to beg for every referral. You have to sell on every intake call. But when you're the known expert, clients come to you pre-sold. Referral partners think of you first. Your close rate goes up. Your chase time goes down. Think of it like sharpening an axe. You're spending 10 hours a week chopping with a dull blade. I'm asking you to take one of those hours and sharpen the blade. You're not too busy to build authority. You're too busy because you haven't built it yet. 1 hour a week, one video, one post, one relationship. That's the gravity audit in action. Simple. Question number 4. What was it? I'm afraid to put myself out there. What if people judge me? What if I say something wrong on camera and it hurts my reputation? I want to tell you something. I don't talk about this much. The first Facebook Live I ever did, my hands were shaking and my palms were sweating. I forgot what I was going to say for about 45 seconds in. I think maybe 2 people watched. One of them was my wife. And you know what? Nobody died. Nobody judged me. Nobody even noticed. Here's what I learned. The people who judge you were never going to hire you. We're never going to buy from you. The people who need you, they're too desperate for help from you or somebody else to judge. A daughter scrolling Facebook at midnight looking for someone to help her mother, she's not grading your lighting. She's not criticizing your editing. She's looking for someone who sounds like they know what they're doing. Someone who actually cares. Your imperfect video is infinitely more powerful than your perfect silence. Let me say that again. Your imperfect video is infinitely more powerful than your perfect silence. So just start. And you know what I know? You'll get better. But you can't get better at something that you never begin. All right. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to close. This question came, is how long does this take? I need clients now. I can't wait 6 months for authority to kick in. That's a fair question. And I respect your urgency. I respect it. You got bills. I get it. Here's the honest answer. Authority is a long game. Compound interest for your reputation. But here's what nobody tells you. The short game and the long game, they aren't different games. They're the same game. And they're the same game played at different speeds. The same video that builds your authority over 6 months, a referral partner might see it tomorrow. The same resource guide that you drop off at a neurologist's office that could generate a call this week, the same only one statement you put in your email signature. Someone reads it in the next 48 hours. Think about planting a fruit tree. It takes years to produce a harvest, but you can plant vegetables around the base of the tree and eat this season. While that tree grows, you're eating. The pillars from this week, those are your vegetables. The expert in residence identity, that's your tree. Plan them both today. All right. All right. Before I let you go today, I want to close something for you. You know how when you have too many browser tabs open on your phone, everything runs slower? Well, your brain works the same way. And a lot of you have had a tab open for months, maybe years. And that tab says, am I really an expert? Who am I to teach anyone? What if they find out? I'm making this up as I go. I want to close that tab for you today. Listen to me. You've cared for someone's mother when their own family didn't know how. You've trained people to show up for the hardest job on earth. And some of them stayed because of you. You've held a daughter's hand and told her it was going to be okay. And you meant it. And it was. You've been doing this work in the real world with real families under real pressure. That is expertise. You earned it. Nobody gave it to you. You built it one family at a time. The question was never, am I really an expert? The question was, when am I going to start acting like one? Close the tab. You're the expert. You've always been the expert. Now go be the expert in residence. Flip the mirror. Audit your gravity. Take the residence test. And do it this week, not someday, this week. Drop in the comments right now which shift hit you the hardest: mirror, flip, gravity, audit, or residence test. I read every single comment, every one. One more thing. If this week changed something in you, if you've heard yourself in these sessions, if you finally see the private debt you've been using as a taxi and you want to build what's next with real support, real systems, real people who understand exactly what you're navigating, I want to invite you to the Home Care 7-Figure Blueprint community. This is where owners like you come to build the expert in residence version of their business. Not just on Saturdays, every single week, the identity shifts, the frameworks, the people who won't let you stay invisible. The link is in the comments. Drop Blueprint and I'll send it to you personally. 3 shifts, 1 new identity. Let's build it all. And I'll see you on Monday in the Home Care 7-Figure Blueprint community at 7 p.m. Bye for now.